Quad 66. All right, introducing or teasing what will be the new version 3 or whatever it will be of the zip tie canopy. And obviously, this is not a zip tie canopy at all. Um, in fact, it's going to be printed, but I do. This canopy is inspired or building off of the good features or the good things I learned from the zip tie canopy, and then addressing some of the issues that maybe people have, maybe reasons why they shy away a little bit from the zip tie canopy. But before I kind of talk about this and the elements of it and the features, I need to just put it out there that I need your help. Um, and where I need your help is that I don't have a printer, I haven't printed, and I need to get up to speed quickly and painlessly. I'm sort of at a limit for my like mental capacity and time to be hacking away and learning these new things. I mean, there's so much with this hobby, with like learning Betaflight and black box review and trying to figure out Ghost and getting Express LRS going, and there's just so much. There's only like so much like energy I can put into figuring out these new things. And to do this canopy, I've already had to dive into Fusion 360 and doing 3D design, which is different. I've had to kind of learn how to design in this, and it's quite a bit different the way I do it. So there's a learning curve there. Um, and so I know, obviously with these canopies, you're probably going to want to print this in TPU, and I've been learning about how maybe direct drive printers are better for that. But then it seems like, for the affordable direct drive printers, they're not as good as the Enders in general. Um, and so what I really need is some advice. I want to hear the good stories and the bad stories about what works, what doesn't work, especially when you're thinking about printing flexible materials. Do you really need the direct drive printer? Can you do a Bowden printer? How much do you realistically have to spend to be able to pull something out of the box, not mess with it that much, and get some decent prints going? And the reason I need to start printing, obviously there's services that do that, but to develop things, you really got to go through some versions of it. And so I don't really want to kind of deal with sort of drafting something up, ordering some prints, waiting a while, and then having to revise that way. So please, please, please help me out. Post feedback in the comments. All right, so let's talk about the canopy design. Really and truly, what I'm trying to do here is replicate the good parts of the zip tie canopy. So on the front, I specifically didn't want any hardware, and so what I came up with this idea is it's like, let's change the frame a little bit and make a little bit of a kind of protrusion here that we can put into that slot, and that slot will be at 30, or it's at least at 30 degrees right now. And because we're using something flexible, we don't have to have a whole bunch of, I don't think we'll have to have a whole bunch of different canopies with different camera angles. I think there'll be enough flexibility that where if we get kind of in the middle of the range that people like, you can just kind of, tighten it or loosen it a little bit to get the angle that you want. Okay, so that's kind of the idea up front. No hardware there, it's just going to slide on. And I think on the front of the carbon fiber, there's going to be little protrusions that help it kind of snap in to some degree. So then otherwise, obviously we want to fit the whoop size cameras in here. So the idea here is that, since we're using a flexible material, extend the slot a little bit so you've got enough flexibility to be able to pop the lens through there. Then obviously the rest of the camera is going to sit in there. Now to secure it, that's where these little nubbins come into play. So with this, the idea here is that, this is going to be the front face of it, and then there's going to be a flex point. So you're going to take this whole back section here and bend it back this way, with the thinner point here being the flex point. And then these little nubbins, as this will bend, these will fold over and sit behind the camera and kind of pinch it into place. I have no idea if that's going to actually work in practice. I'm sure I can get it to work, but I haven't actually tried this. This is just kind of in my head and taking what's in my head and putting it into like a 3D model, and I think it'll work. So then the last part is that, back here, if you're on a 16 by 16 board, you're going to use one standoff, and there's going to be a little hole in here. You can drill that, and I'm thinking either putting a whole bunch of holes or just leaving this blank to where you can drill a hole yourself to mount it on a standoff. Or if you have the board mounted in that whoop orientation with the 25 by 25 board, then this will be that back post that the board mounts to, and so we'll kind of reuse that, sort of like how the Happy model does with their little version of the mount. So some of the other criteria I wanted with this, obviously I wanted it to be kind of consistent, take the good features of the zip tie canopy, but make it a little bit more finished and clean. Now I do realize that, aesthetically, putting the front and top faces of this, using that as the face that kind of comes off the print board may not be the best thing, because that's kind of where you get that weird, like sort of like melted-ish look of that first layer. And maybe we can do some things differently if we want to get something a little more aesthetic, where we fold this here at 90 degrees, and then print kind of going upwards this way. But I think for convenience of being able to print easily, I did want to have something that prints flat effectively. And I also wanted the filament to run kind of the length structurally, so it runs the length, and that way we have the strength where we need it. Because if it's going to fail to some degree, it's more likely to fail between the lines of the print rather than along the lines of the print. So that's kind of what I'm thinking anyways, sort of theoretically there. And so I think, with this type of thing, we can print this flat, should print quick and easy, and then you just use a little bit of origami to get it into the shape that you want. And because it's buttoned down with a screw in the back, then you're going to keep it in nice shape and be able to get the camera tilt that you want. I did kind of think about making kind of a hole back here, but I think then we're just doubling up on how much, having to put another nub on the frame. And then also that makes it difficult with the adjustability. I think it's going to be a lot more easy to get the camera tilt you want by having screw holes here, and so you can have a finer adjustment or even a custom adjustment by, if I just leave that blank and you can drill in there. Anyways, I'm really curious to see what you think about this concept and idea, and hopefully you like it. And please, please, please give feedback, especially about what you recommend or don't recommend with the printer, and also, like, kind of make it clear too. It's like, all right, if you just have to spend a certain amount of money to get something that's gonna work well out of the box, and you don't have to spend 6 months getting it dialed in, please let me know what that is too, because it's just, I really don't want this to be a super painful experience. All right, so there it is, the printed version 3 of the zip tie canopy, at least a little teaser of it. I think we'll try and make it look a lot better, but this was kind of my first crack at some 3D design, and so tried to not get overly ambitious with it. Alright, till next time, cheers.